dear students, myself Gangadhar Solanke, and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual classroom.
Dear students, today in Standard 10's Geography, we will be learning the topic Economy and Occupations. We have already learned the first part of this topic, and in that we learned about economic activities in Brazil and India. We learned about agriculture, mining and fishing in Brazil. Now today we are going to learn about agriculture of India, fishing in India, mining in India, industries in Brazil and industries in India. So here in the first part, the things which we discussed about Brazil were the agriculture, fishing and mining. And now on the screen you can see the image of agriculture of India. Unlike Brazil, India's agriculture contributes more towards GDP and also engages a large chunk of population. You people already learnt about the agriculture of India and how people directly or indirectly engaged in the agriculture. So if we people go through the numbers or the statistics, then one thing which we can say that around 60% of land in India is under cultivation. Around 60% of land in India is under cultivation, which means that agriculture in India is in practice on large number. Its enormous expanse of level plains, rich soils, high percentage of cultivable land, wide climatic variety, long growing seasons, etc. provide a strong base to agriculture. And in India, agriculture has been a long standing activity. So the things which are very important or necessary for the field of agriculture are available in our country. For example, enormous expanse of level plains जो agriculture के लिए होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. Rich soil. Now in the lower standard, you people already learnt about the types of soil, and in that we learnt in our country soil is favorable for the cultivation. Then high percentage of cultivable land, that is 60%. Wide climatic variety, very important thing when we talk about the agriculture of India. अलग अलग season हमारे country में है, 3 seasons mostly, summer है, winter है and then rainy season, so that farmer can go for many crops or the varieties of crops, then long growing seasons. These things provide a strong base to agriculture, and that is why number of people are directly or indirectly related or engaged with the field of agriculture. Indian agriculture is mainly subsistence type. Now when we say it is subsistence, which means the practice of growing crops and raising livestock. Raising livestock sufficient only for one's own use without any surplus for trade is subsistence agriculture. मतलब यहाँ के फार्मर खुद के लिए खेती में जो अनाज है वो उगाते हैं और उनके पास कुछ जो चाहिए उनके लिए एनिमल्स वो बेसिकली होते हैं. दैट इज कॉल्ड सब्सिस्टेंस टाइप ऑफ फार्मिंग. Now if we talk about the crops and fruits, then India produces rice, wheat, maize, sorghum and millets as major food crops. Then if we talk about tea, coffee, rubber and cash crops like sugarcane, cotton, jute, etc. are also produced. So in the crops, rice, wheat, maize, sorghum and millets, as major food crops. In plantations of tea, coffee, rubber and in cash crops जिससे farmers को पैसा मिलता है ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा, that is why we call these crops as cash crops, and it includes sugarcane, cotton, jute. India is also a major producer of a variety of fruits and vegetables. In our country, number of fruits and vegetables are there. In our diet also, number of vegetables are there, variety of vegetables. So, India is a multi-product agriculture powerhouse. We are having crops, food crops, we are having fruits and vegetables and also cash crops. That is why India is a multi-product agriculture powerhouse. Now, the next point is fishing. Fishing play an important role in the economy of India. Here one thing which we have to keep in mind, that our title of the topic is economy and occupation. So, we are talking about the occupations which play very important role in the economy of India. So, agriculture, which is very important, or it is given in our textbook that India's agriculture contributes more towards GDP and also engages a large chunk of population. Same thing with the fishing. Fishing play an important role in the economy of India. And if you go in detail, India is one of the largest producers of fish in both in marine and in inland. So, if you go for the detailing, then the fishing areas, marine fishing and subsistence fishing. In marine, it's commercial and then inland fishing. So, basically two types, marine fishing and inland fishing. In marine, it is of two types, subsistence and commercial type. But here one thing, India is one of the largest producers of fish in both marine and in inland type of fishing. Now, how it helps in strengthening our economy? Fisheries help in augmenting food supply, generating employment, raising nutritional level and earning foreign exchange. Now, all these four things are important in the economy of any country. Food supply भी हो रहा है, and the important thing, it generates employment, it gives opportunities for the youth, then raising nutritional level in the diet of the people and the very important earning foreign exchange. Here on the screen you can see top 5 fish-rich states in India in 2017-18, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Gujarat, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. It is given in inland, in marine also. So, if you go for Andhra Pradesh, then the total is 34.5. It is in lakh tons. Trend in export of marine products. This one also you can see. So, by this we can understand the role of fishing in Indian economy. Fish forms an important part of the diet of many people living in the coastal areas of Kerala, West Bengal, Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Goa and Maharashtra. Now, we know one thing, that the diet of the people depends on the geographical conditions. So, the people who are around, we can say, or near coastal areas, they have fish product in their diet. So, the states, if we talk about the states, then Goa, Maharashtra, Orissa, here you can see, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, here, then Kerala, then West Bengal also. These states where the diet of many people have fish forms. India has about 7,500 kilometers of coastline. Here you can see coastline of India, marine fishing accounting for about 40% of the total annual production of fish and being confined to coastal waters in the west from Kutch, Malabar coast to Coromandel coast in the east. Major fishes are sardines, mackerel, Bombay duck and prawns. So, here you can see Gulf of Kutch, marine fishing accounting for about 40% of the total annual production of fish. जितना भी annual production होता है उसमें से 40% जो है वो marine fishing है. Fishing in India, now you can see here the sardines, the mackerel, Bombay duck and prawns. So, this one is the area. And if we talk on the eastern coast, the important fish are horse mackerels, clupets and silver bellies. So, this one western coast and this one eastern coast. So, if we talk about the western coast, फिर हमारे पास है sardines, mackerel, Bombay duck and prawns. And if we talk about the eastern coast, then all these three: horse mackerels, clupets and silver bellies. Now, freshwater fishing is carried on in rivers, canals, irrigation channels, tanks, ponds, lakes. So, silver bellies, carp, etc. are major freshwater varieties. About 60% of the country's total fish production comes from inland fishing. Now, here try to understand this: 40% marine fishing and 60% inland fisheries, including rivers, canals, irrigation channels, tanks, ponds, lakes. ये सारी जो inland फिशिंग में आते हैं इनमें से हमारा 60% प्रोडक्शन जो है फिशिंग का होता है. नाउ द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, माइनिंग इन इंडिया. द छोटा नागपुर प्लेटो in India is a big storehouse of different minerals. Again the same thing I am repeating, we are talking about the role of these particular areas or field in the economy. So, we discussed about the agriculture, we discussed about fishing, and now role of mining in the economy of India. So, here you can see Chota Nagpur. So, the Chota Nagpur plateau in India is a big storehouse of different minerals, and mining is the main occupation of the people there. Again the same thing, depends on the area, what is available or the resources decides the employment of that particular area or the main occupation of that particular area. If we are talking about the coastal region or coastal areas, then the people are engaged in the field of fishing. But where the places like छोटा नागपुर जहाँ पर मिनरल्स है वहाँ पर लोग माइनिंग के ऑक्यूपेशन में एंगेज होंगे. Coal is mined in Korba in Chhattisgarh and in eastern Maharashtra. So, southeastern coal fields limited Korba area. So, here coal is mined. Mineral oil wells are found in Digboi in Assam, Mumbai High in Arabian Sea near Maharashtra, Kalol and Koili in Gujarat. So, keep in mind this mineral oil. You just have to keep in mind the names and the things like mineral oil found in Digboi in Assam, Mumbai High in Arabian Sea near Maharashtra, like this. Reserves of mineral oil and natural gas have been discovered at the mouth of river Godavari. Stones like marble are found in Rajasthan and Kadapa in Andhra Pradesh. Here on the screen you can see the map, major marble sludge producing areas in Rajasthan district map, and these are the areas जहाँ पर मार्बल का प्रोडक्शन होता है. Now the next, industries in Brazil. Major industries include iron and steel production, automobile assembly, petroleum processing, chemical production, cement making. So technologically based industries have been the most dynamic in recent years, but have not outpaced traditional industries. It means that both the industries are running parallelly. जो टेक्नोलॉजिकली बेस्ड इंडस्ट्रीज है वो भी, एंड जो ट्रेडिशनल इंडस्ट्रीज है वो भी है. नॉट ओनली दिस, फूड प्रोसेसिंग लाइक शुगर इंडस्ट्रीज, cotton textiles, silk and woolen industries have developed well. So most large industry is concentrated in the south and southeast. The northeast is traditionally the poorest part of Brazil, but it is beginning to attract new investment. Now the time to talk about industries in India, but when we talk about the industries in Brazil, all these things are very important. आयरन एंड स्टील प्रोडक्शन, ऑटोमोबाइल असेंबली, जो हम कार बाइक्स देखते हैं उनका असेंबल होने का काम जो है वो ब्राज़ील में होता है. देन प्रोसेसिंग ऑफ पेट्रोलियम, केमिकल प्रोडक्शन, सीमेंट मेकिंग, देन शुगर इंडस्ट्रीज, कॉटन टेक्सटाइल्स, सिल्क एंड वूलन इंडस्ट्रीज. Most large industry concentrated in the south and the southeast, and the northeast is traditionally the poorest part of Brazil, but it is beginning to attract new investment. Nowadays because of the globalization, हर एक देश में इन्वेस्टर्स जो है अपनी अपनी कंपनी को इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, और उससे ऐसे एरियाज़ की जहाँ पर कुछ फैक्ट्रीज नहीं है, प्रोडक्शन हाउसेस नहीं है, वहाँ पर भी इन्वेस्ट हो रहा है. सो सेम थिंग with the northeast part of Brazil, where it is beginning to attract new investment. And now the industries in India. On the screen you can see the logos of different companies. Now what you have to do with this, look at figure 8.4 where we have logos of various industries, and then the questions. Identify the industries with which they are associated. For example, ONGC is associated with what? किस टाइप की इंडस्ट्री? Then RINL, राष्ट्रीय इस्पात निगम लिमिटेड. Then RA, CLW, that is Chittaranjan Locomotive Works. So these are the logos, and you have to identify with the which industries these are associated, then which raw material is used for these industries, classify them accordingly. For example, if we are talking about RA, then what raw material or which raw material is used for these industries, and then from which part of India do they get these raw materials, discuss and write. So go through these questions and try to answer. The distribution of industries in India is highly uneven. We can't say that the industries are concentrated in any particular area or in any geographical region, because it is highly uneven. कहीं पर है तो कहीं पर है ही नहीं. And this is so partly on account of uneven distribution of the necessary raw materials and power resources, and partly due to the concentration of enterprises, financial resources and other necessary conditions in large towns. Now why uneven? These are the reasons behind this. Raw material जहाँ पर मिलेगा वहीं पर फैक्ट्रीज और इंडस्ट्रीज सेटल हो जाएंगी. अच्छी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जहाँ पर मिलेगी वहीं पर सेटल हो जाएंगे. So basically due to the concentration of enterprises, financial resources and other necessary conditions, factories or the industries are located largely in towns. Now one by one again we have to talk about the industries. Jharkhand, Orissa adjoining Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, parts of Rajasthan, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu account for most of the reserves of metallic minerals. Metallic minerals. Now what is metallic minerals? Minerals from which metals are extracted are called metallic minerals. And where we find this? In the Jharkhand, Orissa adjoining Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, parts of Rajasthan, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. These minerals are malleable and ductile. These minerals are associated with igneous and metamorphic rocks. Again the same thing, you people learnt about the rocks and types of rocks. They are usually hard and have shine or luster of their own. For example, iron, copper, bauxite, tin and manganese. Next thing, the northeastern part of the peninsula has a very high concentration of heavy metallurgical industries with almost all the steel centers situated here. Now state-wise steel production you can see on the screen. Availability of large quantities of coal and refractory materials along with cheap power from the Damodar Valley Corporation and a number of thermal power projects has added to the advantages. So the thing which is very important when we talk about the industries is the electricity. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी अगर चीप मिलेगी और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मिलेगी, चीप रेट में भी मिल रही है और कंटिन्यूस मिल रही है, तो इंडस्ट्रीज उस एरिया में डेवलप हो जाती है. राजस्थान हैज़ कॉपर, लीड एंड जिंक. कर्नाटका हैज़ स्टील, मैंगनीज एंड एल्यूमिनियम. एंड तमिलनाडु एल्यूमिनियम मेटल इंडस्ट्रीज. सो यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड दिस लाइक की पॉइंट्स. एक स्टेट को लिया और वहाँ पर कौन कौन सी इंडस्ट्रीज है वो लिखना है, एंड वाई, उसके पीछे रीज़न क्या है वो भी. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी चीप में मिल रही है या फिर रॉ मटेरियल उस पर्टिकुलर इंडस्ट्री के लिए वहाँ पर अवेलेबल है, तो वहाँ पर वो इंडस्ट्री फ्लरिश हो जाएगी. Now if we talk about the agro-based industries including cotton, jute and sugar are heavily concentrated in the raw material producing areas. For example, sugar factory ऐसी जगह पे होगी जहाँ पर शुगर केन का प्रोडक्शन बहुत ज़्यादा है. The forest-based industries including paper, plywood, matches, resins and lac are increasingly finding concentration in the forest areas of various states. Paper, plywood, matches, resins and lac. So raw material play very important role. And now if we talk about the coastal belt, the coastal belt of Kerala has a heavy concentration of coir, copra and fish canning industries. This one you can see, Kerala geography. Now the next thing, Koili, Digboi, Nunmati and Bongaigaon refineries are situated close to the petroleum producing areas, and Mathura and Baruni refineries in the interior away from the coast and oil producing areas. The distribution of cement industry is also highly conditioned by the availability of raw material. So again and again same thing is there about the raw material. किसी भी इंडस्ट्री को खड़ा होने के लिए रॉ मटेरियल का होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. वो रॉ मटेरियल नज़दीक होना चाहिए, कम से कम कीमत में अगर मिलता है तो और अच्छी बात है. ये दोनों चीज़ें हो गई. देन द नेक्स्ट थिंग, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एंड देन द फैसिलिटीज़ फॉर द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. जब कुछ बन जाता है, जैसे सीमेंट बन गया तो उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने के लिए भी वहाँ पर अच्छी ट्रांसपोर्टेशन होनी चाहिए. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट इंडस्ट्रीज इन एनी country of the world. Gujarat, Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu produce the bulk of salt in the country, and we know the role of salt in our daily diet. We can't imagine our food without salt. So, the salt producing states Gujarat, Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu. Mechanical engineering, electricals, automobile, fertilizer and numerous consumer industries which show little bias for raw material have come up all over the country with heavier concentration near the big cities, because in the big cities it is very easy or comfort for the transportation facilities are easily available. Now the next thing, trade. Now here table is given, read the adjoining table and answer the following questions. Questions are also given. The table is of export, import and balance of trade, and the values which are in the table are in US dollar. Year 2009-10, 10-11, 11-12 and 12-13. India exports, imports and Brazil exports, imports. Now the questions, if we go for the questions, first question is, what is balance of trade? What is balance of trade? The balance of trade of a country is the difference between its export and import. So, for example, 2009 और 10 का अगर हमें बैलेंस निकालना है तो एक्सपोर्ट और इंपोर्ट में जो डिफरेंस आएगा दैट इज द बैलेंस. Tell the types of balance of trades. Two types of balance, basically favorable and unfavorable. If it is positive then it's favorable, and if it is negative then it's unfavorable. In which country export exceeds import in all the years? It's in Brazil, we can see easily. Brazil's balance of trade belong to which type? It belongs to favorable type of balance, because there in Brazil export exceeds import. India's balance of trade belong to which type? It belong to unfavorable type. Brazil mainly exports iron ore, coffee, cocoa, cotton, sugar, tobacco, oranges and bananas, while it imports machinery, chemical products, fertilizers, wheat, heavy vehicles, mineral oil and lubricants. You can make table of these also, जिसमें हम export एक साइड में रखेंगे और import एक साइड में रखेंगे. So एग्जाम के टाइप इसे रिवाइज करने में easy हो जाता है. And if we talk about the countries, then the major trading partners are Germany, USA, Canada, Italy, Argentina, Saudi Arabia and India also. Trade makes up about 25% of GDP. And now about India. India mainly exports tea, mangoes, coffee, spices, for which India is famous in the world, leather and leather goods, iron ore, cotton and silk textiles, while it mainly imports. What we import? Petroleum, machines, pearls and precious stones, gold and silver, paper, medicines, etc. Now if we talk about the countries, India's major trading partners are the UK, the USA, Germany, Japan, China, Russia. Here on the screen you can see India's top 10 trading partners, export destinations and imports from. So UAE, USA, Singapore, China, Hong Kong, Netherlands, Germany, UK, Indonesia and Belgium. And if we talk about the imports from, then China, UAE, Switzerland, Saudi Arabia, USA, Iraq, Germany, Kuwait, Nigeria and Indonesia. Indian companies set up industrial centers all over Brazil and invested a lot of capital. Here on the screen you can see figure 8.5, which is of contribution of trade in GDP. So this line is of Brazil and this is of India. So by observing this you can understand the contribution of trade in GDP. If we talk about India, then here in 1965 below 10, then it's increasing continuously, and here it is 50%. India Brazil trade, you people observe this, understand what is given in the figure. Indian companies set up industrial centers all over Brazil and invested a lot of capital there in the Brazil. The Indian companies have invested in such sectors as IT, pharmaceuticals, energy, agribusiness, mining, engineering and also in auto sectors. Now what about Brazil and India, or Brazil in India? Brazil's footprint in India is smaller but important. The Brazilian companies have invested in automobiles, IT, mining, energy, biofuels, footwear sectors in India. So in today's part of this topic we discussed about the agriculture of India, fishing in India, mining in India, industries in Brazil and industries in India, then about the trade of India and trade of Brazil, and at last we discussed about how India is investing in the Brazil and how Brazil is investing in India. Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon to get notifications.
So my dear ones, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, take care.